Raise your hand if you maybe kind of forgot that you started a YouTube channel. Hi, welcome back to Cozily Made Designs. My name is Terry, and this is a little part of the internet where I talk to you about what I've been making lately. Hope you guys are all having an amazing beginning of the year. Happy New Year. I know I'm quite late to the party. It's not intentional. January was not actually a very good month for me, if I'm gonna be totally honest. I went home, had an awesome holiday with my parents. We had quite the blizzard, got snowed in for a few days, but it ended up being fine. I got home, and January 1st, our furnace went in the house, and it was cold. It was around the negative 40 degrees Celsius mark, which is, you don't want to be without heat for that long when it's that cold. And then starting back to work, we were down a person in my office the very first day. She's out the whole week not feeling well. The following week, we at the house here, our water main broke, and we were without water for probably 3 or 4 days, almost the entire week, which is not fun. And then that Friday, the same day that we got our water turned back on, the very first person in my office went down with COVID, and we haven't had anybody with COVID up until then, and it just knocked everybody out one after another, except for me and another lady. So we're running a little short-staffed for almost the entire month of January. And yeah, basically just trying to play catch up. So it's one of those things where life's just like, whew. Yeah. So I hope you guys are having a much better January than we did. Everybody is feeling a lot better now. Everybody's good. I did manage to get a fair amount done because it's been like 6 weeks since I made a video, and it maybe not as much done in between that time as I would have liked, but I've done a few things. During my Christmas break, I spent 2 full days, 2.5 days, painting probably half of our main floor in the house. I did the hallway, the dining room, and the kitchen, living room. They're all sort of one space, but I'll put a little picture in here. I love what we did with the dining room. It is a 2-tone wall just to make it seem like its own space, its own little entity within the house, and I really love the colors and how they turned out. And then at the end of January, I painted our bathroom. So put in another picture here, and it was one of those things where it's like, do we, don't we? This is an intense color. This is gonna either look really good or really bad. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. There's still a few things that I need to do, some loose ends. I have to sew in my ends, if you will, and I really don't want to, but unfortunately with our main floor bathroom, it's not a sweater where the only person who will see the undone ends is me. It's going to be open to everybody, so I really have to get on that and actually work on that this weekend. What else have I done since I talked to you guys? Oh, I did finish a pair of socks. I don't have them on me because they were a gift for my coworker for her birthday at the beginning of January. It's another thing that I had to work on over my holidays. And I'll put another picture up here. I love how they turned out. I am so happy with how these socks turned out, and I'm not that person who takes the time it sounds so bad. I'm not that person that takes the time to match up myself striping socks. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It's not something that's ever bothered me because it's like, obviously they're a pair. They're made from literally the same yarn. It doesn't matter if there's a bit of a discrepancy, but because these were a gift, I really wanted to take the time and actually make them look as good as possible and have like nearly perfect lineup on the stripes on the sock. And I will have to say, I'm not going to do it for every pair of self-striping socks, but just so good. It looks so good. I'm a bit of a convert. I might have to actually take the time to do that occasionally because just there's just something so satisfying about seeing that. And it's like such a tiny little amount of effort to get it to line up. And I'm like, oh, she's very lucky that she got them because I was kind of thinking about keeping them, which is really mean. But so I have that finished object. I did show the socks that I had knit for my mother-in-law, the finished socks, but I didn't actually show them on the sock blocker, so I'm going to put that here as well. I really love how those ones turned out. There's a little bit of a kerfuffle. I don't know. There was a little bit of a thing when it came to actually giving her socks. I thought she was going to be in my partner's hometown over Christmas at some point because he ended up taking all the gifts and dropping them off there, or he said that he had, and then we went to go do our gift exchange with his mom like 2 weeks later. I had messaged her and said, I really hope you like your socks. I hope they fit. And she's just like, what are you talking about? Like, sweetheart, did you actually leave the socks in your hometown for your mom? No, they're in my car. Okay. But that went really well, and I think she likes them. As far as I know, she likes them, but I was really happy with how those turned out as well. They're not a recent finished object, but I just wanted to show you guys what the heelless tube socks actually look like when they're on a sock blocker and what they would look like on a foot. And there's a lot of stretch in them, which is awesome. So from the last video, I do actually have a I do actually have a finished object that I want to show you that I'm so happy about. I had ripped back a little bit after that last video. I don't know why, but for some reason, knitting in garter stitch, it's just a purl, and the only time I had to do anything out of the ordinary besides just mindless knitting was at the very beginning of a round, or at a certain stitch count or row count, sorry. And my brain was just like, we're gonna throw a random little purl in here because we're just gonna keep you on your toes. And trying to fix garter stitch, stockinette is easy. Stockinette is so easy. You just go and you like chain up. I probably spent 20 minutes on one purl stitch, fixing one purl stitch. It was like 4 rows, not 4 rows, probably 6 rows back. Oh, that was not fun. So again, I need to remind myself that it is okay to just rip back. It's okay. Anyways, this is my scrappy garter shawl. There's no way you're going to be able to see the whole thing, but this is probably close to where I was when I did the last video. And this is the scrappy bit at the end. I really wanted something, a pattern that was going to let me use some of my bits and ends, I should say, from other projects that I've done. I had quite a few of these small little balls of yarn left, and they're lovely. The whole thing, except for this little bit right here, is done out of Cascade 220. I have no idea what this yarn is, except that it is wool. It is probably deep stash. I've been using little bits of it for things over the years, and this is all that I had left. So it just had to go in this shawl, and I love it so much. It is so big. It's so comfy. It is literally my favorite. It is almost 400 grams of yarn. So she's a bit big, but I have been absolutely in love with this shawl. And it is such a nice, simple, easy, quick knit. Not quick knit, like kind of mindless knit. It's fairly quick, but it's really good TV knitting. You only have to really pay attention every couple rows. I want to make so many of these, but I think one's good for now. I may be tempted to make a few of these as gift knits for next year. But if I'm going to do that with all of the other stuff that I would really love to do, I think I'm going to have to start doing it PDQ. So this is one of my finished objects, and I'm going to take it off because it is very warm, which has been the best thing. I got a new wool coat this year. Bit of a splurge, but it was gift money, so I thought I would treat myself to something really nice that is going to ideally last me for years and years and years. I am trying to not capsule wardrobe idea, but I want to just have really good quality clothes in my wardrobe that are gonna like be timeless. They're gonna last me years and years, that I maybe spend a little bit more on, but replace less frequently. And so I got this really gorgeous wool coat. Problem is, it comes down here, doesn't have a full collar. That's the shawl that I wear with it. So the next project that I have to show you is this little cowl. And this is such a cute pattern. This is actually a beanie pattern. This is the Spooky Skull Beanie pattern by South Stitch Girls. I will verify that. I just looked it up before I started recording, but I have a very bad memory for these things. And it is so cute. This is my first color work that I have done in probably 10 years. And I don't know what was wrong with me. I don't know what was happening. I have Chiaogu circular needles that I do used for everything, literally everything. And I realized as I was binding off that I had one needle in the body size and one needle in the ribbing size. That just never changed out. I was like, oh, maybe that's why my tension's all funny. And then when I went to go do the decreases for the top, I could not get it to look good. It's 100% me. I could not get my... Yeah, it was 100% me. That's fine. But so I ended up just turning it into a little cowl, and it is so cute. And I just, oh, I love this. This is it's a big box store acrylic yarn. I'm completely blanking on the name. I will try and make sure that I link it, but it's fine. It's stuff that I've had for a while. I had intended on making slippers as gifts and then realized that that wasn't a great idea. I was trying to do a crochet pattern and I don't crochet very much. But I love this. I love the way that this turned out, and this is definitely going to be my fall and probably early winter cowl next year, or if I'm just feeling a little bit spooky for whatever reason, because I don't know if you can tell, you probably can't tell. I love spooky stuff. I love spooky stuff. I probably watched the Conjuring series, and I know it's a whole thing on that. I won't get into it, but I probably watched the entire Conjuring series like 4 or 5 times in October. And my partner is a very loving, wonderful man for letting me and sitting and watching it with me. But yeah, he puts up with a lot, so love you. Anyways, such a cute pattern. Hopefully yours actually looks like a beanie if you decide to do it. If you haven't done color work in a while, or you're just starting color work, or you just want like a cute, easy pattern, I highly, highly recommend their Etsy store. The other thing that I have been working on, and this isn't really finished yet, I have to block it, and in our apartment we had carpets, so I was cheap and didn't buy blocking mats because I would literally just pin into the carpet and into the little backing on it, and it was perfect. But the only carpet that we have in the house is on the stairs going into the basement, and I can't pin into the floor. I don't have blocking mats yet, so I have to go source them out. So this hasn't been blocked yet, but this is a little pattern that I've been working on. It's a little smocked pattern. Hopefully you can see that I really love how it's turned out. Now, this shape is supposed to be a crescent shawl. I've never made a crescent shawl before. And obviously this is really small for a crescent shawl, but I want it to be more of a kerchief size. Something just to put right underneath your like spring coat when you're going outside and it's maybe a little bit nippy, but if you need to take it off, it's not so gigantic that you have to like carry it around with you. I've never knit a crescent shawl before, so I really hope this looks the way that I want it to when it is finally blocked out. But this yarn, oh, it is so lovely. It is just the prettiest color. I have it's over here. It is absolutely the prettiest color, and it is an exquisite yarn because I'm an idiot. This is Yorkshire Spinners Exquisite 4-ply, 80% Falkland wool and 20% mulberry silk. Because I'm an idiot and I like puns. It's not even a pun, it's just, oh, never mind. This yarn has just been an absolute dream to knit up. This little project that I'm working on is going to be a present for another coworker of mine. Her birthday is coming up very, very shortly. And I wanted her to have something that she was going to be able to wear in the spring in the next couple months before having to put it away. So I didn't want to do anything too big and crazy. And I really love this smocking detail and how it turned out. And she quite likes this sort of dark burgundy color, kind of purpley colors. So I thought this would be really nice. And I admittedly have so much left that I might have to make her something else with it, just maybe a little bit later. But I loved it so much that I went out and I got another skein. And this one is Kingsbridge, and it is such a gorgeous, really pale kind of blue color, and I am going to make myself a shawl out of this. And I don't know what shape it's going to be yet, but I want something really light and airy and bright. Bright? Would this be a bright color? For the summer. Something that I can just throw over my shoulders, wrap around my neck, something that's not going to be my usual sort of darker muted tones, even though this is probably a bit of a muted tone, but that's okay. So yeah, I am really interested to see how this blocks up as a crescent shawl, but at the same time, like, I've never actually knit this way before. And I understand that, like, you're supposed to block it out, but I actually don't mind the idea of doing it as just its own little kerchief shape. So I think I'm going to use the same construction method, so from this tip, but actually do it from the bottom up. And I think that'll be really, really nice. A really, really nice way of sort of doing a shawl that you can just stop whenever you want on it. If you want just a small little kerchief size and you decide that you're done, that's awesome. And if you want a bigger one where you use up the entire skein or multiple skeins, that's awesome too. I just think it would be a very versatile method for knitting a triangle shawl. So I'm very excited about this, and after I figure out how to block it, I will take a picture and put it into the next video, because it's just, I'm so excited to see what this looks like when it's blocked, because it's going to be so different from what it is right now. The other project that I have been working on recently is a pair of socks, because I just gotta knit socks. I am totally in a sock thing lately, and I'm okay with that, because socks are this really awesome little project that once you get over how intimidating they look, you toss it in a bag, and at least I do. And when we're driving around somewhere, I'll just pull it out, do a row or two, or you go wait in the doctor's office, or in our case, outside the doctor's office in your car right now, because it's still COVID and I'm over it. But it's always so nice to have a sock, a tiny little project that doesn't matter how long it takes you, you just work on it whenever you can. And this is my new sock project. And I am in love with this yarn. This is the ColourPop sock yarn in the shade colorway Cloudy, and it is a mostly bamboo yarn. I've never knit with a bamboo yarn before. It is so soft and so like squishy on your hands. It's different from really any sock yarn that I've knit with recently, because even something like this, even though it's soft, it's got a little bit of a drag on your hands. This is different. It's different. It doesn't catch on my hands or my fingers. I almost actually have to tension this tighter than I normally do when I'm knitting. So when I knit, I wrap around my pinky, and that's how I tension my yarn. With this yarn, I feel like I have to go around twice in order to get the same amount of tension that I normally use when I knit my socks or do really any of my knitting. And it's a very different feel for me, but I'm really enjoying it. And kind of working on this little waffle stitch pattern here. It's just something that came up with. Cute little stitch marker there. It's not showing up really well in this color, but I love the texture of it. Color, I mean self-striping. I think if it was a solid colorway, it would look really, really good, but the texture it's different and I like it. I'm very excited about this one. And unfortunately, I think that's it. Don't really have any other acquisitions that I can think of at the moment. I will try to remember and include them in the next video, and hopefully the next video will be much sooner, because February is already almost half gone and it is better. We're finally catching up, but January, no, we don't want to do that again. All right. Well, if you've managed to sit through the entire video, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope to talk to you guys soon. Okay. Bye.